Ladies and gentlemen, it is the 29th of October, and I would like to welcome you to a brand new episode of the Beyond the Mat podcast, episode number 11. That is right, we are back for another week. I hope you are doing well. If you could, make sure you do leave a like wherever you are watching. I'd appreciate that a lot. If you are listening on Spotify, Apple, or Amazon, make sure you drop a comment as well and a 5-star rating. If you are watching, if you are seeing this pretty face on YouTube, please do leave a thumbs up as well as a subscribe, as well as a comment as well. I would really appreciate if we could get some comments after each episode, whether that you be giving me some feedback on how we can improve the podcast, or whether that be questions for next week's podcast. I would appreciate that a lot. Enough waffling. We've got so much to get into on episode 11 of the Beyond the Mat podcast. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to kick things off with Monday Night Raw. So I've just caught up on Monday Night Raw, the 27th of October edition of Monday Night Raw. And like I said, so much to talk about in today's episode. So many questions. We've also got Saturday night's main event coming this weekend, being November the 1st. So I want to get into predictions, and I want to make sure I'm answering as many of your guys' comments as possible. So let's kick things off with Raw. We had Jey Uso and CM Punk kicking off the show. We know that those two guys meet at this weekend for the vacant World Heavyweight Championship. I can't lie, it was a little bit stale. It was a little bit of stale between the two. The rest of the show was excellent, but this moment right here, this back and forth, just wasn't it for me. They both just said that they're ready to go, man. They both just said they are ready to go, and that is all we saw between the pair for the entirety of the night. We saw Jey throughout the show a couple of times with his brother Jimmy, but yeah, Jey and Punk did their thing for 5-10 minutes, and it started off the show a little bit strong. A little bit slow, sorry. Everything after this was excellent. I thought this was a great edition of Monday Night Raw once again. Alexa successfully defending their WWE Women's Tag Team titles against Bayley and Lyra Valkyrie. I thought this was a really, really good match. This match finished in the way of Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. And then we do get the Kabuki Warriors coming out and making the attack. Worth noting that they did not attack Bayley. Why did they not attack Bayley? Bayley was once a part of their faction. What is going on? They attacked Bayley in the end. They ended up kicking Bayley out. So we're not sure what's going on there. I'm sure we're going to see this evolve. I'm sure we're going to see more title matches between these three teams. Kabuki Warriors could end up with the belt, and then maybe an Io Sky and Rhea Ripley taking the belt off the Kabuki Warriors. We've got some really good things going on in the women's tag team division, even though a lot of them are singles girls. It's cool to see that we are progressing. I believe that Alexa are one title defense away now from having the longest, the most reigns as the women's tag team title champions. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. Roxanne Perez defeats Hall of Famer Nikki Bella. Bron Breakker defeated LA Knight. Sheamus versus JD McDonough. Sheamus does not come out on top, and that is because Finn Balor gets himself interjected in that match and cost Sheamus the match. JD McDonough picking up the win. Penta and Rusev ends in disqualification. Who saw this coming? Honestly, everyone. We now know that because of this, because El Grande and his goon squad got involved in that match, we now know that Dominic Mysterio will defend the Intercontinental title, a Saturday night main event versus both men in that match, Penta and Rusev. Very much looking forward to that match, but it was very, very predictable in my opinion. So that was pretty much Monday Night Raw summed up. I thought it was pretty good, a pretty good overall episode. Once again, Crown Jewel was great. The last few Raws have been great. The last few Friday Night SmackDowns have been great as well. And we have to mention NXT. NXT Halloween Havoc last weekend. Tatum Paxley, your brand new NXT Women's Champion. She is so deserving of that. I'm so happy for Tatum Paxley. Someone who, I didn't even mean to go on this tangent, but we're going to go there. Tatum Paxley is someone who has delivered on a constant basis. And every time I see Tatum Paxley in the ring, she gets better and better and better. I am so happy for her. Very excited to see what they're going to do with her, as well as Fatal Influence as well. Lainey Reed has joined Fatal Influence now, so the arc of what we're going to do there is going to be interesting. What the Fatal Influence do next? Do they get a call-up to the main roster? Probably not yet. Maybe JC Jane. I think all three are very, very talented, but we now need to see what the dynamic looks like with JC Jane. JC Jane at the helm, but also Laney Reed, also a part of it with Fallon Henley as well. So I'm a big Fatal Influence fan, and I would just like to see them all do well. Also now with the addition of Laney Reed. But Tatum Paxley, wow, take a bow. Blake Monroe wins the Women's North American Championship from Zarya. Zarya is not the champion. Sol Ruka was the champion, but Sol Ruka unable to compete and defend her title at this past weekend's Halloween Havoc. Overall, a very, very good show. Ethan Page retaining after beating Dr. Wagner Jr. He rips the mask. How crazy is that? He rips the mask. Something that is meant to be the biggest disrespect in Luchador ever. It's crazy. It's crazy, crazy stuff. The Hardys are unsuccessful. They lost their belts to Dark State. I understand why they've taken the NXT titles now, because when they won the NXT titles, they became a Triple Crown Tag Team Champions. They won the Raw, they won the SmackDown, and then won the NXT. It made sense. They take the belts, they elevate it a little bit, give them back to Dark State. I get it. People were a bit confused at the outcome of that. Not me. Nevertheless, NXT Halloween Havoc was great. NXT has been cooking. I would love to speak more about AEW. Make sure or I'm asking, could you please send some AEW questions? Because I would love to talk more AEW. I always bang on that I want this to be community-led and viewer-led. But I also want to make sure that we are touching on things that people want to listen to. I don't want this to be a solo kind of WWE podcast. I really don't. I want this to cover off a little bit of everything for everyone. Let's get into our Saturday night main event predictions. CM Punk versus Jey Uso for the vacant World Heavyweight Championship. It's right here behind me. How do I see this match going? I see two men who both need to win this belt, right? CM Punk is someone who has been cost this belt opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. Seth Rollins is not in the picture. He vacated the belt. He can't cost Punk here because he's just had surgery. He is not going to be in the area. Jey Uso. I'm feeling a little bit forced from Jey Uso. I feel I'm a Jey Uso fan, right? But I feel like we're getting too much Jey Uso. Like, he is everywhere. Everywhere. Like, it's like he can't not be in the title picture. I think he's at a point where he doesn't need the title anymore. CM Punk does need the title, though. CM Punk is someone who is... He's a star, man. And Jey Uso is a star, too. But Jey Uso has had his moments. He beat Gunther at WrestleMania. He's won the IC title. It's time for CM Punk to take the World Heavyweight Championship. How do I see this one going? How do I predict this one to go? I believe Jimmy, and I said it this last week, episode number 10. I think Jimmy Uso gets involved in this match and costs Jey Uso the title. I didn't touch on it on the Monday Night Raw recap section I did a minute ago, but Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso are not cool. I'm telling you, they are not cool right now. I can see Jimmy Uso costing Jey Uso, and that's that. I think CM Punk will walk out Saturday night main event this weekend as your World Heavyweight Champion. Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre. We said this on the podcast last time that this match was going down. This is for the undisputed WWE Championship. I would 100% put the belt on Drew McIntyre, but I don't think they're going to do it at a Saturday night main event. I do not think that Drew is going to take the belt off Cody on a glorified house show, in what most people would call it. I think Cody Rhodes walks out the champion, retaining the belt and carrying on as the undisputed WWE Champion. Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill for the WWE Women's Championship. Look, I love Tiffany. I think she has been a great champion. She's currently the longest reigning champion in WWE. But I think we all know that Jade Cargill was meant to win the championship months ago. Like, there have been a few occasions where it feels like Jade Cargill was meant to win the title, but something has happened. Tiffany's been a great champion. I think Tiffany would be a much better champion than most girls on the roster, but I think Jade Cargill is going to turn heel, and they're going to do great things with Jade Cargill. I mean, she did turn heel, right? But I think People want to see the heel Jade Cargill run. I think Tiffany's run has come to its end of time, and I think Jade Cargill will walk out the WWE Women's Champion. Dominic Mysterio defends the IC title against Penta versus Rusev. And look, whilst it was very predictable that we get this match, I don't think it's... I think it's rather predictable that Dominic Mysterio is going to keep the belt here as well. I don't see him losing to Penta, and I don't see him losing to Rusev. I mean, the one thing that I could think of here, if I was going to have Dominic Mysterio lose the belt, and perhaps the Penta, would be if Penta pins Rusev. But that, yeah, I think if Dom loses, they're not going to have Dom get pinned. Therefore, I think Penta would have to pin Rusev. Wow, that's a mouthful. But on this occasion, I think Dominic Mysterio retains. What do we see as that fifth match? I'm not entirely sure what I see as that fifth match. Maybe a tag title match. I don't know which tag title, if I'm honest. I don't know. Maybe the women's tag. I really do not know what that fifth match is going to be. Fifth or sixth. You know, we've still got a Friday Night SmackDown to go. It is the 29th today. We've still got this upcoming Friday Night SmackDown. And then we have got Saturday Night Main Event. Which, by the way, if you are in the UK, that does go down on Netflix this weekend, okay? Make sure you note that down. It does go down on Netflix. It is time to get into the questions. I'm sorry if I ran through them too quickly. I wanted to get a few thoughts in around Raw, NXT, as well as Saturday Night Main Event predictions. But we've got a lot of questions today, okay? So this might be a bit longer of a podcast, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. If we are going on a little bit, then I'll make sure that we answer the next lot of questions in the next episode of the Beyond the Mat podcast. Sky Toll, thank you so much for your question. You are asking me, what wrestlers' outfits do you like the most? Who was your favorite return? So we've got two different questions there. We're gonna go with the first of which one that always stands out for me in terms of outfits. Someone who is consistently out there with their outfits, and every single time it feels like they've put a lot of effort into their outfit, and that is the greatest luchador of all time, Mr. Rey Mysterio. The mask, the gear combo, some of my favorites. The Halloween Havoc one. I love the question mark one that Rey wears. It's the lucha colors. He has got such a lasting impression. If you had never seen Rey Mysterio before, you would still think, wow, that guy looks really cool. He is just the entire package when it comes to when it comes to the outfits, right? Someone else who is, call me biased, but very flashy, very out there, very colorful. It's my man Seth Rollins. His recent Vision stuff, the stuff that he's done over kind of the last year, 14 months, that's been my favorite stuff. Like the crazy big boots, the big hats, the big coats, the crazy colors. I love it all. I absolutely love it all. And I think if it was anyone else, I would absolutely hate him. Because it's Seth and it suits what he's doing, I would absolutely throw Seth into the mix as well. Someone else as well. I mean, I'm really going at it for this question. A classic one is Macho Man Randy Savage. Like his flamboyant colors as well. I guess we could probably compare him to the to Seth and his colors. But I love Macho Man as well. I love the many different outfits. I also just admire when people put a lot of effort into their gear, whether they're crazy, whether they're, I appreciate good looking gear, good looking outfits. They make a lasting impression. And I think that's what wrestling is really, really about. Favorite returns, I've probably got a little bit of recency bias with this one, but it's going to be Ilya Dragunov. It's going to be Ilya Dragunov, and it's going to be someone else as well in a minute, but also kind of a part of the same thing. But Ilya Dragunov recently, it was a huge standout because the crowd was pumped. We got like a little bit of insight that he was coming back. We got the insight that he was backstage. But I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to believe it until Ilya Dragunov was walking down. Not only did he return, but he also won the IC title. And that, I believe, really, really completes the moment. Someone else who is also a part of kind of all of what we just mentioned is my man Shinsuke Nakamura. Obviously, he is answering the open challenge by Sami Zayn as well for the US title. But him returning on the 10th of October to his old song, the King of Song Style Persona as well, the original theme music, That's perfect. That was absolutely perfect. I love that theme. I love that Shinsuke. Shinsuke is one of the... I love Shinsuke. Huge fan of Shinsuke Nakamura. But seeing him return with that entrance, he looks so happy as well. Like my fiance was like, I have never seen Shinsuke as a face. And I'm like, this is it. He is so much fun. So much fun. And they are my two favorites. The crowd went crazy as well. The crowd went absolutely bonkers as well, because I think it was the mixture of the surprise, but also the return of the old Shinsuke Nakamura. And I think without a doubt, if you're a fan of Shinsuke, that put a huge smile on your face on that return. And also he had a classic against Sami Zayn as well. An absolute stellar match. Caleb is asking, and thank you very much for your question, my friend. You are saying, if you could do a trade between AEW and WWE for one wrestler, which one would you have and why? It's a tough question. I'm a fan of both. So when people ask this question, normally it's as though the way a lot of people answer this question is if they're a WWE fan, they're just going to bring over AEW's best guy and send over WWE's worst guy. And I'm not going to answer it like that, because I think I'm a fan of both. I'm a WWE fan. I'm an AEW fan. I just took off my AEW t-shirt because I've made some videos in it recently. But yeah, I'm gonna kind of double-edged sword this, because I am a fan of both promotions, and rightfully so. No tribalistic BS here, man. Anyway, from AEW to WWE, I am probably going to take... MJF is always someone I say for this, but I'm going to say someone else today, because this is someone that I've not said before. It would probably be Orange Cassidy. I love his style. I love his personality. I love what he does. The whole kind of the hands in pocket stuff is entertainment. It's entertainment. He would bring such a fresh dynamic, and he's not like a global star either. But I just do think he would be great on the WWE roster. I would absolutely love to see Orange Cassidy on the roster. From WWE to AEW, I would like to see someone like Chad Gable, because Chad Gable has a lot of great matches over on AEW and Ring of Honor. I mean, Chad Gable, man, technically excellent. He is absolutely underused. Things were kicking off a bit, but now he's obviously injured. And I think he could do really great things in AEW's different environment. I'm a huge Chad Gable fan. I believe he is one of the best technical wrestlers that we have got on the roster today. He is obviously a young Kurt Angle. He is so fantastically well put together, well crafted, a fantastic amateur wrestler as well. I think that would be a really good trade. If both companies would get a completely different end of the spectrum in terms of talent. One a fantastic wrestler, one a fantastic wrestler, one very technical wrestler, trading for a very entertaining wrestler, in my opinion. You know, WWE gets someone with that kind of cult appeal, and AEW would get someone who is underutilized and could have some incredible matches. I mean, Chad Gable versus Okada, Chad Gable versus anyone in the Don Callis family, Chad Gable versus Takeshita, Chad Gable versus Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega. There's a lot of great matches there. There really, really is. And it also prompts some fresh storylines instead of just kind of trying to just revive and repackage old ones as well. So, yeah, some things to think about there. I would like to know, to most of these questions, maybe drop your answers down below so I can see what people are saying, because I would genuinely do sit and think about these for some time, if I'm honest. Ethan is asking me, my good friend Ethan, thank you very much for the question. You are asking me, John Cena's retirement tour, what is my favorite moment, my favorite match, my least favorite moment, and my overall thoughts of the retirement tour? Ethan, it's a very, very good set of questions, my friend. We'll probably kick things off at the top. My favorite moment that isn't a wrestling moment, there's not an in-ring moment, because I know that you said afterwards favorite match. Favorite moment, we're going to do the pipe bomb, the John Cena pipe bomb. I'm going to give two, actually. I'm going to give CM Punk coming out and doing the thugonomics stuff. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. Great storytelling, bringing back the old, what John Cena was. I used to love the Punkonomics. That was that was just must see stuff, wasn't it? And then the flip side to that was John Cena doing the pipe bomb. Matt Cardona, Claudio Castagnoli, those who were getting the shout outs. And I genuinely feel that those are my two favorite moments in the John Cena farewell tour. Like I said, I'd like to know everyone else's because these are great. This is actually a really great set of questions, to be fair, Ethan. You're also asking my favorite, what was it? My favorite match. Favorite match for a bit was SummerSlam between Cody and Cena. I thought that match absolutely shat all over the first match that they had at Mania. That match was awful. This SummerSlam match was a 5-star match without a doubt. Really enjoyed it. Very, 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 very good. But that has to be topped by John Cena and AJ Styles a few weeks ago, because that right there was just poetry in motion. It was a love letter to wrestling. I've seen some really, really great lines that sound really clever, but are just perfect. A love story to wrestling is a great one. We named the podcast episode after that a few weeks ago. I really like that one. John Cena versus AJ Styles. I mean, they were hitting Chris Jericho finisher. What were they doing, man? They did everything. They did everything. And the moment to Bray Wyatt, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful match by two of my all-time favorites of all time, bar Seth. It's without a doubt favorite moment. My least favorite moment would probably be, and it doesn't really lead to an exact moment, because the Elimination Chamber heel turn was wow, was beautiful. Who saw that coming? But my least favorite moment that came from that was the surrounding Rock stuff. Rock and Travis Scott, we didn't need it. It ruined the heel turn for me completely. Is because we had all the stuff about Cody selling his soul, and then the soul stuff completely disappeared, and then we didn't see The Rock. We haven't seen The Rock since. We haven't seen The Rock. We saw Travis Scott at Mania. Why was that even a thing? So that just kind of anything that included The Rock and Travis Scott in this entirety of the farewell tour just ruined it. And that is without a doubt my least favorite moments within. My overall thoughts to John Cena's farewell tour is that it's not on many occasions that WWE has actively announced someone's send-off, right? They have clearly signaled that this is the end of an era. Time and time again, we know that Cena is going and he's gone and he's never coming back in ring, that is. It's a smart move to build the legacy, right? It has been very, very smart, but I wouldn't have turned him heel. And I get it. John Cena turning heel was huge, but it's not as huge if you can't back it up. And they didn't back it up. We saw some fun matches. We saw Randy Orton. We saw CM Punk. We saw Cody. But that's it. They were just fun matches. Everything surrounded it. Cena was also very awkward as a heel because he's been beloved for so long. It's really hard to turn someone heel who is as loved as John Cena. The risk that they face with doing this to their biggest star ever, arguably ever, is that the expectations are sky high, and creativity needs to be hit consistently. Like, they can't have off weeks with this. They have got, how many dates did they have? 36 dates, 38 dates? They need to make sure that every time John Cena is on the screen, he is doing something of significance, not just rocking up. And there was some lackluster moments now, right? We're now trying to squeeze 4 lasting appearances in for John Cena, and they're going to be kind of awkward. We're going to see him at 2 Raws. We're going to see him at Survivor Series. We're also going to see him at a final Saturday night main event. And that's it. That's the end of John Cena. It's tough, right? It's tough because this gives him all the closure he gets, right? He gets all of the closure by going out like this. But I think WWE Creative have really let him down. That being said, ever since the end of that stuff, when he turned, also the turn back as a face was very weird. He just did it on a SmackDown, right? And he's like, right, well, that wasn't me, so forget about that. Now let's crack on. Everything after that point has been incredible, like fantastic. Like the John Cena I would have loved to see him for the last 10, 11 months at this point. Nevertheless, man, it's going to be sad to see the man go. It's going to be really, really sad to see the man go. But it's what it is. I wouldn't have turned him heel. I would love to hear Cena. I would love to hear Cena do a podcast after this where he just goes into full depth about all of the decisions, about what has happened over the last 12 months. Did he agree with it? Did he think the creative did the right job? Like, I would love to hear all of it. I would love to know what he is feeling. For me, if I was going to rate it, I would say Cena heel, 4.5 out of 10. Cena face, 9.5. Like, it's undeniably fantastic stuff since he's been a face. So I'm just glad that we are seeing him out as the John Cena that we know and love, and not the heel version of John Cena. Thank you very much for your question, Ethan. I appreciate you, my friend. Mr. Mark Moran is asking, who do you think fits the vision better? Is it Austin Theory, Obafemi, or Tony D'Angelo? Wow, we've got three completely different guys here. What I really like about this. We think that Austin Theory was going to go to the vision. He didn't end up going. I think if Seth wasn't injured, he probably would have ended up going. Austin Theory, we know Austin Theory. We love Austin Theory. He is super talented in the ring. He's all right on the mic. He is someone we haven't seen for a very long time. He's been making TikToks and all that kind of stuff. But in the ring, he's a fantastic talent. Fought Cena for the US title. It's someone who is still very young, but could also be the future of the company. Obafemi, absolutely someone who is the future of the company. A big guy, your big kind of security guard kind of guy. Extremely athletic, like, This 300-pound man moves like a 185, like a 145, or maybe a 155er. And then you've got Tony D'Angelo, Obafemi, by the way, NXT North American champion, longest reigning, also former NXT champion. And then you got a man like Tony D'Angelo, a former NXT North American champion. He knocked Obafemi off for that North American Championship. Big fan of Tony D'Angelo. He's got the Don gimmick, he's a gangster and all that. Big fan of Tony D'Angelo. Big fan of all three of these guys. Who do I think would suit the vision the most? I originally said Austin Theory, but then you didn't give me, I didn't have this option when I first ever thought about it. Looking at the picks now, it would probably be Obafemi, because I think he does represent the future more, because he is yet to enter the main roster. He's got youth, the size, potential, and he is less established than definitely Austin Theory, because we know Theory's been on the roster. Theory is super talented, but whilst we haven't seen him for a while, he has been there for quite a while at this point. Tony D'Angelo's got a strong character, but probably a little bit more niche. I think Obafemi is the right. I believe for the long-term growth right now, he probably ticks the most boxes. The vision for WWE is them dropping Seth, whether it was an injury or not, is absolutely the right thing to do now. Because Seth doesn't need to be a part of anything, right? But having Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed together with the wise man Paul Heyman, I think really does fit perfectly. Bron Breakker is going to be a world champion in the next few months, but they could also look at putting the tag team titles on them. They could be menaces in that tag team division, and there are also some really good matches there as well. But yeah, to answer your question, Obafemi for me is the one I would put within the vision if I could. Three massive guys as well. Like, they would absolutely run havoc, wouldn't they? They really, really would. JWW Live is asking if you could bring back any championship. By this, I mean something like the 24/7 and not a redesign. Okay, if I understand this properly, I would actually revive the European Championship. This has legacy. It has nostalgia. It is a belt that could be reintroduced in today's kind of WWE global expansion, right? Because we're going to a lot of places in the world. I think it's important to have a belt for all of these places in the world. It gives the mid-card opportunities to international stars. You think of someone like a Dragon Lee, like a Ludwig Kaiser, like a there are some really good names that could take on the European Championship. It's not just another tag title design. I mean, Dragon Lee, I think would suit. I know I said European, but I think Dragon Lee, those kind of people would suit that mid. Dominic Mysterio. It's important to note that the European Championship wouldn't just be for European fighters, because WWE don't have that many of them. But like a JD McDonough, like that kind of mid-card opportunity, I think a European title could be fantastic. I would love for them to use that and capitalize on building future superstars, because the mid-title belts have always been about building stars, I think instead of bringing a belt back that doesn't have all those, it's important to bring back a belt that has that heritage, that has that recognition of legacy and nostalgia. I think it's important that if they were to bring a belt back, it is one of the importance of the European title. And by the way, you give a shout out to the 24/7 title. I thought it was fun. A lot of people didn't like the 24/7 title. I thought it was fun. I thought it was spontaneous. It was definitely overused. I mean, how many times did R-Truth hold that in the end? Like a ridiculous amount. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed having that extra something, and I think a European title is a good shout, in my opinion, Mr. Joe Woolley is asking if I could call up 3 NXT superstars to the main roster right now. Who and why? Let me talk to you, my friend. I'm going to say Obafemi. I'm going to say Sol Ruka. Sol Ruka, I think, is a good one. We saw Blake Monroe take Sol Ruka's North America Championship this past weekend at Halloween Havoc. I've just gone on about Obafemi, but that's why I wanted to jump straight to Sol Ruka. We just saw Sol Ruka lose the title to Blake Monroe. Zarya actually lost it on behalf of her due to Sol being injured. But Sol Ruka, I believe, is the best female. It's tough, right? It really is tough, because the NXT women's division right now is absolutely cooking, but I think Sol Ruka is among the best. We've got some really good names on that roster, but I think Sol Ruka is among the best, and I would love to see her up on the main roster soon. We've seen her with Zarya we've seen her against the women's tag team titles last week. I would love to see Sol Ruka on that main roster. Another person, and I've not always been a fan of this guy, but I understand why people are, and I could see this happening sooner rather than later. Trick Williams. Trick Williams is absolutely going to make his way onto the main roster soon. We know that he had a really good feud actually with Carmelo Hayes, and had some great stuff going on there. Do we see him align with Carmelo Hayes? Probably not. I'd like to see Carmelo Hayes go after a singles title. But Trick Williams, just been the TNA World Champion. He's still in the picture for the NXT title. I think Trick Williams is going to be coming up sooner rather than later. It was announced a few weeks ago that we are going to be getting more talent from NXT come up because they want to refresh everything and get a fresh feeling to the product. I would love that. Why not any bigger names yet as well, says Joe Woolley? Well, I think some stars benefit from staying in NXT longer. I think you have to make them so important on NXT that when they get to Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, there has to be a pop there. We don't want them just rocking up, One argument I would have for this is that Fraxium was so well known on NXT, obviously with the NXT tag team titles, but as soon as they rocked up, what is a good instance here is if you rock up, the crowd don't really pop, but you are that good that the crowd are like, oh my god, we need to pop. And I think that's what happened with Fraxium. I feel like Fraxium weren't really known. If you are just a solo Monday Night Raw or a Friday Night SmackDown watcher, they came on the show, they didn't get too much of a pop when they did make their SmackDown debut, like official debut before. After they lost the belts, and I feel like there needs to be like more call-up moments so that we can acknowledge them properly. I don't want people to just rock up and not feel important because they don't get the pop straight away, because those guys absolutely deserve the pop straight away. But I think it's important that they get that big over on NXT that when they come over to the main roster, there is a pop for them. Just like Roxanne Perez. I mean, look what she did. She came up. She was then the longest reigning female in the Royal Rumble. Like, that's huge. And now people know Roxanne Perez is a household name, like all in the space of months, right? Yeah, huge Roxanne Perez fan. But it's about the main roster building around them, crafting them to make sure that they are main roster ready before they just kind of throw them on. The worst thing you want is they just get thrown on and they do something very, very random, you know? We look at the minute with Kiana James and Julia. I mean, I understand what's going on there. She's obviously she's a manager because she is, you know, she's well spoken, and Julia is obviously still learning English. But that's Kiana James is such a great talent. We're not going to see much of her because she's currently doing this. And that's something that we fall risk to, is someone coming up and doing something where they're not being elevated. And I think that's what's going on with Kiana. So yeah, my 3 picks would be Obafemi for reasons that I mentioned earlier, Sol Ruka and Trick Williams. Thank you very much, Joe Woolley, for the question, my friend. Guys, make sure you do give some love to all these people as well. I'll make sure I tag everyone when I do put the podcast out as well. LeBron is asking, and I'm gonna kind of swiftly do these questions quite quickly. I've got a final few questions. I don't want the episode to be too long. LeBron is asking, if you could pick 3 people to bring back from retirement, who would it be? Who would it be? I'm gonna give them quick, man. Shawn Michaels, okay. But when we say bring them back from retirement, I don't want this to mean like they come back now and they wrestle now under how they are currently physically, because I don't want to see Shawn Michaels back in the ring. But if he was in his prime, I would absolutely love to bring back Shawn Michaels. Someone else, Batista, one final run. Man, who's not a fan of the Animal Batista? You know, I think we could get a really good farewell story out of Batista. And then I would also say, whilst he's on AEW and whilst he's contracted to AEW, it would still be Edge. You know, I think he could do a lot with a lot of younger talent. He's such an experienced veteran, and he's just also one of my favorites of all time, man. Who is not a fan of Edge? Edge, Batista, Shawn Michaels. They are my 3 picks. LeBron, thank you, my friend. Thebes is asking, what's my current opinion on Charlotte Flair as a babyface, and has the Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair tag team helped build both of them back up since returning? Thebes, I think it has. I have always been huge fans of Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss more so than Charlotte, but also Charlotte Flair, right? I think Charlotte Flair as a babyface is still predominantly known as her queen persona because that's still how she is acting. But alongside Alexa Bliss, it's absolutely helped them both out massively. Getting Bliss back in there as well, like, we've got to remember, Alexa Bliss was out for so long that when she came back, she was definitely going to be rusty, and that's just natural, right? But these two make a great pairing, a really good pairing. Like, Charlotte Flair, super athletic, great on the mic, you know, the credibility is there, you know, the most titles. I'm a huge fan of this team. They just beat, I know you've listened to the podcast at this point, but they just knocked off Bayley and Lyra Valkyria to defend their titles. Probably going to defend against Asuka and Kairi Sane next. But yeah, the character work from both of them has been great. They're just veterans. So it looks like at this point they're just having fun, you know. They are just having fun. They're just two mates that for the first time in their career have been able to like do something like this and kind of not take their foot off because they have been great champions, but take something a little bit more enjoyable. And I think these two have been fantastic throughout. You know, I like it a lot. And I also like the matches that they're having. They're having some really good matches. Some really, really good matches. It's a smart move. It does elevate the women's tag team titles without a doubt. It creates a lot of new match possibilities. God knows that we needed something like this. And both women will be elevated when they do go on to chase single gold again. So, yeah, huge fan of this, of Charlexa. I love the name Charlexa as well. All right, final question. Ethan coming back in, slipped another question in, by the way. He is asking, call it right now. What matches should main event night 1 and night 2, I believe you say, of WrestleMania? Night one, to be honest, night one and night two probably aren't going to shock a lot of people. Night one, I'm probably going to go with Seth versus Punk for the World Heavyweight title. It's a big legacy. The two big names. They've got this huge rivalry. Could it all be ended at the next WrestleMania? Quite possibly. Night two, I'm hearing that we could get a Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. Another match for the title. It's massive, but how is it going to beat the second match is the issue. How are they going to beat one of the biggest matches in WrestleMania history? I really don't know, but that's the matches that I'm seeing. I think they're the two matches that will end up main eventing. We could also see like a Randy Orton maybe slither in there somewhere as well. I would love that. I think with those two matches, the night one builds the momentum. Legacy meets the present because, I mean, let's face it, that's what it is. Night two, biggest names in the sport, arguably. I think that's probably what happens. Those two matches right there, if I'm honest. I'm sorry if I rushed through that question. I did want to keep this kind of below the 45-minute mark. Guys, there's a lot of questions there. Thank you so much, man. I really, really do appreciate all of the love and support on the podcast week in, week out. This has been episode number 11. Make sure you do leave some comments down below. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Give me some feedback and ask me some questions for next week's episode. I appreciate that a lot. Guys, have a fantastic rest of your day whenever you are listening to this. And thank you so much for listening to episode number 11 of the Beyond the Mat podcast with myself, Joshy Wrestling. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Peace.